So again, we can also talk about who we're talking to, which is our guest or client persona. So oftentimes, if you're a director of sales and marketing, it's very easy to determine what these are because it's generally you have a sales manager selling to that person. So if you have a sales manager selling to a particular market, that is one of your personas, one of the people that you want to be targeting. We also talked about from the top down, we talked about what our business goals are overall, so we want to make sure that they are some of our SMART goals. This is a great area for you to tap your revenue managers as well because they'll be able to tell you very clearly what areas you might need to be focusing on for the upcoming year. Just really quickly, who did we have join in on the call?
Genesis.
I'm Brittany from Park Place.
Oh, hi, Brittany. I saw you in earlier. And Genesis, welcome onto the call. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Eric, this is a great opportunity for you to chime in. I know that we've got a lot of different properties on the call today, but when you are talking to the properties, what are some of the major areas of the market that they're trying to target, you think, for 2018? What are some ways that they can determine what those business goals might be?
Well, obviously from in a lot of my markets, anything that has to do with the BT market's super strong. But other areas like Nashville, which is really heavy they do a lot of leisure business on the weekends and stuff, and so really trying to key in on like the meeting planner sites and things like that, and trying to get some of that social business into the hotel is really important. So those are definitely some areas that we're looking at really strongly, trying to grow catering business at the hotels on there because there's right now we're kind of in a difficult situation where there's a lot of new supply in the market. We're going up against a lot of competition and stuff, so we're trying to fill in revenue streams in areas maybe that aren't necessarily just rooms only.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good point. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. And now, are you seeing that is the targeting for some of those, like let's say the leisure weekend market, are you seeing that the targeting has been changing over the past couple of years, or are there any changes that we need to be mindful of when we're
over the past couple of over the past couple of years, yes. I mean, obviously the use of social media and looking at things like Facebook and putting out, like, for instance, Thanksgiving is coming up. So if you're doing Thanksgiving meals and dinners and you're one of those hotels that tends to get families and stuff that are coming in, that's good. But also marketing out to the local market as well for some people who maybe aren't interested in cooking dinner at home and stuff and want to go out to do dinner. There's not a lot of restaurants that themselves that do just like Thanksgiving meals and stuff. So when you have the opportunity at the hotel to try to do something like that and have a home cooked meal at the hotel per se, we've seen some success on the Facebook and marketing that because we get some likes and stuff as far as that's concerned.
Great. Thanks, Eric. I really appreciate that. How about all of you, as you've been going through this process, are you noticing any changes in where your business is coming from? I know some of you are newer to your properties, Judy. You're a good example of that. You might be coming in with a fresh set of eyes and noticing where the property might have been marketing and where you might need to change or shift your focus a little bit. But this goes out to all of you. Are there any changes that you're noticing or difficulties you're coming up against as you're putting together your business goals or targeting? Everything is staying the same. Nothing is changing.
Crickets.
Okay. Well, in that case, let's go on to sharing. What are some business goals that all of you have come up with? As I mentioned, if you don't have your 2018 social planning guides up yet, you should. Let's take a look at them together now. Who has the opportunity to share some of your business goals for 2018 that you've determined? This should be easy for my DOSMs out there.
It's Terry.
Hi, Terry. Thank you.
Hi. Grow corporate meetings at the Henry and reach out to people that book these events, and then maintain the wedding business, if not increase it, especially in the winter months.
Okay.
Are two of the goals.
That's a really, really good focus. I like that, and I like how you called out specifically within weddings, so winter season. It's easy for us to focus on what we want to do for the entire year, like grow leisure weekend business. But as your, friendly neighborhood revenue manager can tell you, that leisure business will shift throughout the year, depending on the travel patterns of your local market. So you might normally be working from feeder markets outside of your local area, but then during certain times of the year, you might find that people within your immediate area are coming in. Hershey is a great example of this. During certain times, their leisure business during the times when Hershey Park is open are very different than their leisure markets when Hershey Park is closed. Their feeder markets change drastically throughout the course of the year. So while you might want to have one overall goal of growing leisure business or maintaining wedding business, focus on how those might shift or fluctuate throughout the year so you can be very specific and intentional in the content that you're putting together.
Yeah, Hershey's a great example. This is Eric. Hershey's a great example of your geographic area of your feeder market shrinking during the winter, like for them, because the park closes. So they still can get leisure business in from areas like Harrisburg and around the immediate area, whereas in the summertime, it's pretty much everything in the Northeast, and Midwest that come in there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that can change how you do everything. That can change your, the social media posts that you're putting out because you're not pulling people from all across the country as much or from that northeastern region. But it can also change it because if you're doing any paid advertising or anything like that, you don't have to do it in such a wide area. And that extends outside of social media as well for my DOSMs out there. If you're looking at doing, let's say, a page in a travel magazine, you might not need to do it during certain times of the year where that feeder market doesn't extend to those areas. You might want to target specific, capitalize on the time that you're doing it and times where, because your booking window might be such a way that you only want to target those advertisements for certain periods of the year as opposed to doing it all year because you're targeting that demographic. So good. What about for social media goals based on those business goals? What are some social goals that you all have come up with?
Emily, it's Genesis from the Hilton Garden in Hershey. How are you?
Very well, thank you, Genesis.
Some of the goals I would like to do actually is focus more on employee posts and posts that relate to the Hilton Garden. I've been posting a lot about our community projects that we've been doing with Bright Hearted and focusing a lot more on the employees, just basically promotions and try to do employee birthdays and such. And I've been getting a lot of feedback from that, a lot of engagement. So that's one of my goals, to do more things of that nature. Also, trying to do Facebook Live. I wanted to do it with the pillowcase event that we had going on last weekend, but unfortunately we didn't have like a huge turnout on Saturday, the day I wanted to do it. I should have done it Friday. I missed out on that. But sometimes we just get too busy that, Facebook Live just pops right out of our head on the most perfect moment. So I want to get a little bit better with that and try to get that going because I really feel like that might bring a lot of engagement to the hotel as well.
Awesome. So I'm actually that's fantastic, Genesis. And you actually pulled up two aspects of our 2018 social planning. You mentioned that your goals are employee posts and doing video content, but then you mentioned that you're hoping that it's going to bring additional engagement to the property.
Yeah.
So that's awesome because you actually covered two portions of this planning guide. The social media goal, your ultimate goal may be to increase engagement, but those to post more employee content and do Facebook Live, those are actually strategies. So you hit perfectly on your goal of increasing engagement. You know what you hope to get out of those types of pieces of content. So your overall goal, it sounds like, is to increase engagement. Those items of employee postings and Facebook Live content, those would actually be strategies of how you would do that. So really, really great point that you brought up there, Genesis. And for those of you who have your plans out in front of you or still compiling them together, that's a really great distinction. It's very easy to say that you want to post more on social media of whatever. It doesn't particularly matter. I know that some people just say that they want to increase their consistency on social media. But you want to make sure that you have a goal behind that. That's a strategy. You want to make sure you have that goal behind it. And Genesis is very clear about that. She knows that she wants to increase engagement. Perhaps one of your business goals is brand awareness. Let's say you're a new property, you're rebranding, you've gone through some major changes. One of your business goals, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, if you have it in front of you and you have nothing on it, go ahead and type it into our new properties. Brand awareness may be one of your overall business goals, which means that one of your social media goals for that might be to increase page reach or see how many people have seen your page. So then one of your strategies might be something as simple as posting consistently. Genesis is more advanced in what she's been doing for social. She's been working with this for a long time. The brand is very well established. They're established in the marketplace. So one of her overall business goals might be to drive leisure business during certain times of the year, whatever the case may be. One of her social media goals for that may be to increase engagement. And her strategies coming from that are employee posts, because those perform very well. We get a lot of reach for those. We get a lot of engagement on those. And one of the secondary ones may be Facebook Live, because as we know, photo content is better than written content, and video content is even better than photo content. So if we can do video posts or Facebook Live, that's a fantastic way to do that. So thank you, Genesis. That's fantastic content and ideas that you brought up.
Thank you, Emily. And I do just have one more thing.
Of course.
Out of experience. When I first started, I got very antsy about not having enough posts during the week. Like my drive was always 3 posts a week. And that became a little bit too much. So I started concentrating on posts that do get the more engagement, like the employee things and like the community outreach that we're trying to do with Brighthearted. And I'm literally putting like 1 to 2 posts a week. And if I get that engagement score up so high, that's all I need to do is 2 posts a week. I don't need to do 3 or 4 and stress myself out over getting all those posts up during the week. So it's just if you target, the things that make the people look at your page, then you only have to do 1 or 2 posts. You don't have to do so many.
That's fantastic. That's a really great point. And I'll make a what's the word that I'm looking for? An example of that would be if you're getting a lot of phone calls to the hotel, the front desk is fielding a lot of phone calls. If they're calling asking about the hotel, that's fine. But if they're calling because they want to know what the weather is like today, not because they're a guest of the hotel or because they're going to be a guest of the hotel, but just because they're calling, if they're saying, hey, what's the place in the local area, that while the traffic might be good, while you might have a lot of calls coming in, if it's not useful information, if it's not leading to conversions or it's not helping to kind of promote a goal that you have, then it's just noise. And the same is so on your Facebook page. Genesis brings up a fantastic best practice. While posting consistently is important, you want to make sure more important than that is that you are targeting very specifically. Genesis and the Hope and Garden Inn in Hershey, they have a very large local following within the Hershey marketplace, within the Harrisburg marketplace, and within the local Pennsylvania marketplace. So they have done a very good job of honing in on what's important to those people. And of course, engaging with the local community for the local community is important. They might see their aunt, they might see their grandmother, they might see their coworker because the team has been engaging with other organizations in the local area. So they know that that's very important to them. We, however, do have properties like in downtown Detroit. Ebony has to focus a little bit more on a global scale because they have a lot of people coming in from Canada, and the same is so with the Reichert House in Amherst on the opposite side of the lakes there. They're dealing with a lot of people coming in from Canada, so they're targeting, and the types of content that they have to put together has to be within the local area because they have a local following, but their following also extends out to a whole other country, so they need to be thinking about it on a larger scale as well. So fantastic best practice, Genesis. I very much appreciate that.
Thank you, Emily.
Any other thoughts about business or social goals or those social strategies before we continue? Okay. So for those of you who have gone through and come up with some of your social strategies, so as an example, Genesis mentioned that she's coming up with, she wants to do more employee posts and Facebook Live. What are some other strategies that you all might have come up with? I'm just going to create a large list and we'll start generating content off of that. So again, Genesis talked about employee postings and doing Facebook Live video content. What else? What are some other strategies that you all might have come up with for your individual properties?
Emily, we've gone in and started liking or following pages like our horse shows, our local accounts, national accounts, to help build page likes as well.
Okay. That's a really good point, Kendra. I appreciate that. So building your network. Awesome.
Emily, this is Sheila from Radisson. I think continue posting some of your catered events, like your weddings, your birthday parties, your retirement. Continue posting them.
That's a good one. What else is out there?
We do a lot with the local area. This is Tim from Oak Lawn.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot with the local area Chamber of Commerce. And the last couple of luncheons I have attended, I went out and I liked some of the people I sat next to at the lunch, et cetera. I mean, it's more localized. But, you know, through Facebook, try to and get those folks, you know, engaged in our restaurant, broadcast emails and things like that. So, you know, it's really grassroots, but still, there's things that can come out of that.
Good. That's a great one. I heard somebody else in there as well. Who else had something?
It was me, Terry.
Cool, Terry. What do you have?
Cross-promoting between the restaurant and the property, so that because it's two different audiences. Mm-hmm. So they know what's happening at the restaurant, you know, for people that are somebody that comes in for like the bigger events, and that seems to be helpful.
Perfect. That's a really good one. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
What else?
And then I've been working with the gift shop quite a bit, and we just brought in a Detroit line of products, and they were posting that we carry their products and to come to the Henry to buy them if you live in Dearborn. So that was good too.
Okay, so we'll start with those and we'll work through some content generation. So I'm going to show, just to really quickly, we're going to take a look about these specific types of posting. Yeah, so as you're going through filling in your content generation schedule.
Okay, so no. But next week you'll have all the
I'm hearing a little bit of background noise. If anybody might need to mute themselves. So the way that we think of this content calendar is I do that little jar metaphor. That's what I was looking for earlier. I use a kind of a jar metaphor. We want to fill the jar with as much as we can. And the way that we do that is not by thinking about our sporadic posts first. We need to think about the large, unmoving content and then fill it in layer by layer with our, you know, pebbles of local events and then the sand of our reoccurring and promotional content. So the things that are unmoving go in first, and then our more flexible content can fall in between that area. And then we can do any of our sporadic postings are just kind of gravy. They fill in any of those other tiny little cracks that we have as we need them. So first and foremost, we want to think through our holidays. These are large, immovable holidays. So these are Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, things like that. Another example of content that we might want to be cognizant of is our days of the week. So as an example, you might have National Sea Turtle Day, which is not pertinent for any of our inland properties, but certainly any properties on a coastal area, or let's say National Wine Day, or National Ice Cream Day, or National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day, or whatever the case may be. Food holidays are another example. So we're thinking about national holidays, and we're also thinking about national or international food days or wine days or anything like that. Oh, goodness. Forgive my spelling today. I'm not sure what's going on with my brain. Okay, so those are kind of our holidays. That's what we would want to fill in first. And then we need to consider local events. Now, this is a couple of properties that do an outstanding job of this are Ebony at the Holiday Inn Express in downtown Detroit and Kendra in OKC, and also the Hyatt Place in Nashville, who I don't believe is on the call today, but the Hyatt Place in Nashville. Wait, am I mistaking my properties? Yeah, no, the Hyatt Place Nashville does a great job at this as well. So you want to pay attention to what's going on in your local area. This can include conventions. This can include conventions would be like the North American International Auto Show. It could be a Comic-Con that might be going on in your area. It could be a really any kind of convention or anything like that. This could also be local parks. So this might be big for the Hershey Park and any of the local performances that you have going on. This could be concert halls. What are some other local events that each of you might need to be cognizant of when you're coming up with your content?
Well, the International Auto Show in Detroit for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the summer we have jazz, International Jazz Festival and things like that.
Jazz Festival.
Yep.
Okay, festivals is another great one. What are some other local events that we need to be cognizant of? Are any of you all in areas where you get leaf peepers? That's the New England phrase for it. But if you have a lot of foliage change, or let's say in Michigan, as an example, it's the third largest apple producer in the nation. Once your certain things like that season, so your cider season or your apple picking season, or you might be dealing with a farm show or a horse show, those are the sorts of things that you want to have being mindful of as well. Any other thoughts about local events that we might want to be aware of? Tim had a good example of this, which is the Chamber of Commerce luncheons. If you're a member of the chamber, you want to be cognizant of those luncheons and events and things like that. And there was a question out there.
Yeah, this is Terry at the Henry. I've got a question, and it's just how would you go about, and I'm just thinking, like maybe doing a Facebook ad for these people. We've got the other side of the state, so it's like the Grand Rapids area, and they like to come down for big sporting events, but a lot of times they don't like staying in Detroit. So maybe we do have a package for romantic weekend type deals, and maybe we can, like work with that and just target the Grand Rapids area.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Your overall concept makes sense, absolutely, about targeting those sports goers who are coming in for large events that don't want to stay, even if it's, they might be going out to a U of M or a Michigan State game, and they might not want to stay out in Ann Arbor. They might want to stay closer to Detroit if it's, where they are, or they might be going to something downtown and they don't want to stay downtown. It doesn't necessarily make sense for me that you would use your romance package to target that, because the purpose of the visit is different. So it might be worthwhile. Again, this is a great opportunity where you can go then to your revenue manager, let's say Eric, and say, hey, Eric, I am working really hard. We're getting a lot of people coming in for sporting events. I want to see if there's an upsell that I can offer them, but I don't know if there's anything. So is there perhaps a sport package that you can put together for the property to see about targeting a different demographic? A good example of this at some of our properties that they've done is a park and fly package. You wouldn't necessarily think of that because a lot of these properties already have complimentary parking, but the fact that they're offering parking for a week for a 2-night stay is just what people who are flying into the area and need a place to park and stay before and after their flights need. So it seems really simple, but a sporting package might include something as simple as breakfast the next morning, and it might be the same as your stay for breakfast package, but the fact that you can put a different title on it and market it to a different demographic might be helpful. Eric, what have you found are the best ways for properties to approach you when they have ideas about how they might want to create or change a package?
I love it when they just get on the phone. No idea is a bad idea. That's what I say. I love to. We love to hear about your ideas. It doesn't have to be on the yield call. It could just be you just picking up the phone and contacting the revenue manager for the property, whether it's Teresa, myself, Alina. Even bringing it up with, if you're not the DOSM, but bring it up with the DOSM, bring it up with Lori. We'd love to hear any ideas you guys have on packages.
Well, that's great. Okay.
Yeah, so I would say, Terry, in your case, just go, if Alina's in the office, go poke your head in and see what she thinks about it. And if she's not, you can always shoot her a note or talk to Alan about it. Certainly at the Henry, we've created a number of different packages just to see. And we did the same thing with the Embassy Suites in OKC last year. They had a recession buster package, which was really fitting for that period of time, but it didn't make as much sense for us to use the recession buster package for the holidays. So, Kendra, do you remember what we called it? Was it like the holiday bonus package or something like that? I lost Kendra. We called it something different, but we just rebranded an existing package and called it something different.
We did we did 4 of them, but we did our Sweetheart package, and then we did one for the military romance package where they get their 10% military discount on top of the package.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Those are good ideas.
So thanks for bringing that up. I really appreciate that, Terry. And that's something to consider is that you all, we're working on the social media side oftentimes, but it should be one cohesive organism. The reason why we focus in on our business goals is because our social goals need to speak back to that. Likewise, if our social goals mean that we need to make some changes to other areas of our strategy, inclusive of our packages, you have the power to do that. And I assure you, you will become fast friends with your revenue team if you call them and you're like, hey, I was thinking we might be able to do this to drive additional revenue. You're going to be their bestie. Win, 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 win. And even better if it produces and you're able to book off of it. That's a great opportunity there. So great points, everybody, with local events. The next thing that we'll talk about is your reoccurring events. Can anybody give me an example of what a reoccurring event or post might be?
For us, it's our horse shows that happen every year.
Okay. That might be a local event. Reoccurring, I'm thinking of more on a monthly or weekly basis. So let me actually.
Wedding Wednesday, Emily?
Motivational Monday, Travel
Yeah,
Tuesday, Throwback Thursday, Fido Friday.
I heard a Wedding Wednesday out there as well. From a culinary side, we also have Wine Wednesday and Mixology Monday. And this might be something as simple as, you know, you want to do a post every week about a special. So it might even be a daily post where you might have your daily special go up. And that could be something as simple as something on Instagram. Okay, so those are some good ones. Any other thoughts about reoccurring? Is there something that might happen on a monthly basis and not a weekly basis? This is a good one. Yep, that's a good one. That might be a promotion as opposed to a reoccurring post. If you have an event going on within the hotel, so this would be hotel or restaurant events. So wine dinners might be a good one for this. However, on a reoccurring basis, on a monthly basis, you may have a monthly drink special, and this would kind of overlap with your promotions. Another example of a reoccurring post on a longer basis might be your Ambassador of the Month. This might also be if you're doing a monthly or a quarterly community engagement or community service event. Why is my spelling not working today? Any other questions or thoughts about those reoccurring posts? Okay. One other important thing to consider here is that if you are at a property that has a restaurant website that has a blog on it, or if you have a hotel website that has a blog on it, or if you're doing email marketing campaigns, those are also other areas you might want to consider to add to your content calendar here. Again, the reason for that is that we want to make sure that all of the things that we're doing from a social perspective are working in partnership, in tandem with our overall marketing strategies. So if you are a director of sales and marketing and you already have your digital marketing or your marketing plan all together in general, and you've got that all laid out, make sure that the content that you're coming up with on a quarterly or a monthly basis is cohesive. So a good one to roll into with that is your promotions. Oftentimes there are brand promotions that are going on during certain times of the year. So think double bonus, think anything that's coming from the brand. So you might have a stay and play for where you get, you know, a certain number of rewards points to use towards dining or whatever the case may be that's happening on a regular basis. This could be double points. This could be on the BT side, it could be bonus points for particular clients. What are some other promotions that you all might have going on?
Would this be where your local packages are, the Sweetheart and Recession Busters, all that?
Yep, that is 100% correct. And now this changes, of course, again, Genesis in Hershey they don't sell tons of Hershey Park packages when Hershey Park is closed. So there's no sense in posting a Hershey Park package post in December because there's not so much going on with the park at that time. The same is so up in Detroit. While the Henry Ford Museum is open all year round, Greenfield Village is not. So it doesn't make sense to use those packages during periods of time where that area of the park might be closed. So local packages is a great one, particularly seasonal ones. Any other thoughts about promotions? This can extend to everything to brunch and dinner specials. This can be about any loyalty programs that you have outside of the brands. Any other things with promotions? Eric, do you have any that you might think of that I would like to see the brands or the properties working a little bit more with?
Well, I mean, as far as loyalty promotions and stuff, we've worked with individual local BT accounts as far as rewards points and stuff. So we've done double points with, I know for the IHG hotels, we worked with a hotel, individual hotel only, where we worked at the mid-market accounts and did loyalty points. You know, all those things obviously cost money, but that was mainly, it was through the brand, but it was a hotel individual program. We also did something similar at Hershey last year, where we did where we offered Hilton Honors points to entice some of the local accounts to come in, but that was mostly just targeted towards the business, transient business, very targeted on that.
Okay, that's a really good point. That also brings up another thing that you might be doing on a less regular basis, but still a reoccurring basis, is any highlights you might be doing for a BT account. Now, this is not necessarily that you're highlighting them and giving them bonus points, but you might be trying to hone in on, let's say, your medical. You might be trying to hone in with the medical community, and there might be a few hospitals that you work with pretty regularly. Now, some would say that they would be concerned about posting any content about those businesses because you would be concerned that your competition might see that. And I don't disagree. I can appreciate that it would be concerning to have that content out there. But there are certain ones, like as an example, Loyola is huge in Baltimore, so the chance that any property doesn't have some piece of that Loyola business is pretty slim. So whether it be educational, whether it be medical, whatever the case may be, there's oftentimes opportunity to celebrate the successes of those businesses without saying, this is how many room nights that they produce for us. Here are the top producing travelers that stay with us. You don't have to, you know, bear all, but there's still opportunity to highlight some of those BT accounts that come in. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. Any other thoughts about your promotional content before we continue? Cool. Okay. So then we can talk about targeting. And targeting is very simple. This is just different customer personas that we are targeting during certain times. So as an example, if Terry is working to drive wedding business or to maintain wedding business, but wants to drive it during the winter months, then that might mean that, let's say, starting in September through the winter period, or through that like key engagement period from Thanksgiving through New Year's, we might want to be focusing really heavily on brides-to-be. So you might find that January and February, you might see a lot of targeting towards the brides and grooms. You might be not that. It might be anything else throughout other periods of the year until you get to November and December again. So you might see brides-to-be within her targeting section for November, December, January, and February. Are there any other thoughts about that? Any customer personas that you might want to be specifically focused on? Okay. Another area of targeting here, this might throw back to your reoccurring. So if you're highlighting a BT account, or even if you want to do something on a more regular basis, you might want to make sure that within that month it's targeted more specifically. So your targeting is going to come from all of your other previous types of content. You're going to be thinking about what large events you have coming up. Do you have a marathon where you need to focus on those leisure travelers who are coming in for events from the local feeder markets? Are you focusing on a certain BT account because they have a points promotion going on with the brand right now? So you'd want to focus on that particular BT client as one of your targeting, as one of your targets. So lots of opportunity to pull in everything that we've talked about before throughout our content generation section and bring it through to reflect in that customer targeting. Any other questions, comments, thoughts, or reflections about coming up with these types of content?
No, I think that's pretty good. I mean, we've gotten a lot.
Cool. So the nice thing about this section is that you'll see it's broken down by month, and there are some that you're going to be able to fill out well ahead of time. Holidays are a big one that you can fill out a year ahead of time, and when you fill it out, you can then go and create that content a year ahead of time. Let's say you have beautiful photos of the hotel set up for Christmas from 2016. That might mean that in December, you utilize on the Christmas holiday, you know that Christmas is coming up. You know that you've got your Christmas, sitting with Santa. You might have photos with Santa that's a promotion. You might have your Christmas dinner as a promotion. You know that your targeting is going to be your local market. You know that Christmas is the big holiday that you need to be focused on. And you know that there's holiday events going on in the local area. So I've got my holidays all set because I'm focusing on Christmas. I've got my local events because I know that there's going to be using the Henry as an example, Greenfield Village has their holiday event that goes on. I might know that there's the tree lighting in downtown Detroit that I want to be mindful of. I know that there's the ice skating rink that's going to be downtown that I want to think about as well. That might mean that it changes my reoccurring posts, and my Mixology Mondays might be shifting to holiday-themed cocktails. My Wedding Wednesdays might be focused on holiday weddings, or it might be focused on etiquette for, or perhaps articles around etiquette for proposing during the holiday season. I might want to think about, from a promotional perspective, again, my Christmas dinner, my Santa pictures, anything like that. And then I can also rope in that content back into my reoccurring posts with, let's say, my Throwback Thursday might be pictures of the hotel dressed up for the holidays last year. Or perhaps it would be, in the cases of properties like the Paso del Norte, I might be able to find photos from 100 years ago of my hotel dressed up for the holidays, and that would be really cool. And then you can think about targeting. Obviously, I've got my local market, but I also want to give a little bit of love to my BT people who are still going to be traveling during the month of December. So lots of opportunity there to tie in all of those together. So what I'll do is, within our meeting minutes, as I did last time, I'll pull all of the types of content that we talked about. And again, once you've gotten through coming up with the types of content that you want overall, you can start looking at things for the entire year, such as holidays and local events. And then you can look at it for the quarter around like any promotions that you might want to do. And then every month you can go in and layer any reoccurring content and how your targeting needs to change month to month. So again, with holidays, you can write out that content for an entire year. Local events, you can write out a lot of that content for the entire year. Even some reoccurring posts you can do more regularly throughout the entire year. You might know that you want to carry Wedding Wednesday 52 weeks out of the year, and so you're golden. You've got 52 pieces of content for the year that you can write out if you've got Wedding Wednesday articles all squared away. And then on a quarterly basis, you want to look at those promotions, how your targeting is changing, any finesses you need to make to those local events, any ways you might need to change your monthly or weekly reoccurring posts. So kind of layer all of that in. Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, we covered a lot of ground with that today, so I'm not going to force everybody to do a giant round table as we usually do. However, I'll give you the opportunity, as we often do, if you feel comfortable sharing a best practice or a success, as well as an opportunity or a question, please feel free to share any of that information. I'd be happy to, with those. This is a good time of year for us to think about what training we want to have for 2018. So if there are any questions, large questions that you have, we can make sure that we go over those in training for 2018. Does anybody have a best practice or a success, as well as a question or an opportunity that they'd like to share?
It's Terry out of the Henry. I was able to boost our event post for Thanksgiving dinner, and it looks, like over the weekend we did get quite a few people book on Open Table for Thanksgiving, which I was really happy about.
Cool.
Because for the cost of the ad, it was pretty much the same as one person having a meal, and to see almost like a close to a 50% increase, that's a good return on investment.
That is. That's a really good point as well, that you can be specific about what you want to spend. Oftentimes I will get asked, what should I spend on this ad? And it's really dependent on the property and what your needs are. So if you feel comfortable, if you feel comfortable spending a few $100s, go for it. You might not use all of it, and you might not need all of it, but go for it. If you've got it in your budget and you want to see what comes of it, then you certainly can. But oftentimes we're much more conservative with that. So a great measure is to say, okay, let's be conservative and say I'd like to get 5 additional bookings. If I got 5 additional bookings, let's say those were 2 people per booking, the revenue I would be able to generate off of that would be X dollars. So let me take a portion of that dollar amount and put it towards that, so that I know that I'm always going to be breaking even or better when I'm putting an ad out. So good point there. I'm glad that you had that pickup. 50 is a really nice number to pick up over just a short weekend.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's funny because when you look at the people that booked, a lot of people are, 2 people, don't want to cook, that type of thing. So, the wording worked out. And then you see some families, 7, 8, and 10 coming in, which is good too.
Cool. Yeah, it's really good, particularly for those events. Thank you for sharing, Terry. I appreciate that. Anybody else, any best practices or successes that you'd like to share, or any questions or opportunities? Well, if that's all, then I will give you all back a few minutes of your day. Thank you all for taking the time to join today. Again, this call has been recorded, so I will get it up on our YouTube channel and send the recording out with the meeting minutes, so you can always refer back to it. Our next call is going to be in December, which is coming up super quickly, and we'll kind of finish up all of what we've talked about for our 2018 social planning. By that point, you should have your full planning together of your 2018 goals, social goals, all that stuff, as well as some content laid in for 2018. If you have any difficulty or questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to your Director of Sales and Marketing, your Corporate Director of Sales and Marketing, your Friendly Neighborhood Revenue Manager, and of course myself. If there's any guidance that any of us can provide, we'd be happy to do so. So thank you all for taking the time today, and we'll talk again really soon. Enjoy today. Thank you.
Thanks, Emily.
Thanks for everything, Emily.
You're welcome, Terry.
Have a good day.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.